Well, look, Sheikh Jassim still wants to buy Manchester United, and his £5 billion bid for the club remains on the table. But sources close to the Qatari bid believe the process has stalled, and they're actually concerned that the Glazer family don't really want to sell Manchester United. Now, Sheikh Jassim has made 5 bids to buy the club. The last one, I think, went in 11 weeks ago on the 7th of June. That was worth around £5 billion, although that has never been confirmed. And that was a debt-free offer. And he wanted to buy 100% of the club. And as well as buying the club, wiping out the debts, he also says that he wants to redevelop Old Trafford and the training ground and invest in the infrastructure. But he's waiting for an answer from the Glazers, and he still hasn't had that answer, but he remains interested in buying the club.
Why is this taking so long? Why are the Glazers taking so long making a decision?
Well, a lot of people involved in the process believe that the Glazer family are not all committed to selling the club. You know, they're different members of the family who own the club. Some of them may want to sell, some of them think it's not the right time to sell the club. There was some reports today that the Qataris were close to buying Manchester United. I think they would be delighted if that was the case. But I think as far as they're concerned, the situation hasn't changed. They are willing buyers, but they're not convinced that the Glazer family are willing sellers. And of course, to do a deal, you've got to have a buyer and a seller. And of course, Sheikh Jassim is not the only person who's trying to buy Manchester United. We know Sir Jim Ratcliffe has made multiple bids to buy the club as well, although I think he only wants to buy the 69% of the club that is owned by the Glazer family, and it's a phased takeover. And there are also some other people involved as well who just want to invest in the club. So the Glazers have lots of options, but we have to make it clear they have never come out and publicly said, we want to sell Manchester United. Back in November, they said that they wanted to bring in new investment, and that could potentially lead to a sale as a range of options of things that could happen.
Yeah, but a difficult time as well, I suppose, for United fans on the field, you could argue, with 2 bad performances, 1 win and 1 loss, and all the criticism around the club, around the Mason Greenwood situation. Is this a reprieve for the fans at all? A hope?
Well, look, I think a lot of United fans want the takeover situation sorted out as quickly as possible. They feel this has dragged on for far too long. It started in November. You know, people thought it was going to be over before the transfer window opened. People thought it was going to be over before the season started. For whatever reasons, that hasn't happened. And United fans, you know, are disappointed. Some of them are angry that it's taken so long. But at the end of the day, you know, the club belongs to the Glazers. They bought Manchester United in 2005 in a very controversial leveraged buyout. You know, the deal was worth £790 million. They borrowed something like £500 million, loaded that debt straight onto the club. The club was debt-free at the time. And since then, servicing that debt has cost Manchester United more than £1 billion. And their gross debt at the moment is £725 million. This is a club that was debt-free before the Glazers arrived in 2005. So United supporters are angry, they're frustrated, they want this situation sorted out one way or the other as quickly as possible. But it's the Glazers club, and they can do what they want. And I know some United fans are concerned about the business that the club have done in the transfer market. You mentioned that in your question. You know, there are players out there who United may want to buy, who are looking at this situation and saying, we don't know what's going to be happening at the club in the future. You know, is this the right move for me? Agents might be saying to them, you know, perhaps United is not the right club to go to for you at the moment. I'm not saying that's happened, because United have spent quite a lot of money in the transfer market, and they would say that they have to be mindful of financial fair play considerations. But we've seen ways around those considerations. Other clubs seem to be a lot more active in the transfer market. And what United fans will be thinking is, if Sheikh Jassim had bought the club, or if Sir Jim Ratcliffe had bought the club before the window opened, maybe we would have been a lot more active. Maybe there would be much more of a feel-good factor around the club because it would be a fresh start. But as things stand at the moment, Sheikh Jassim still wants to buy the club, but he's concerned that the Glazers don't want to sell.